I'm going to start as soon as I. Oh, just a second. Namaste, everyone. Sorry for the delay. Can you hear me well?
Yes, Namaskaram.
So you can hear me well?
Yes, yes.
Good, good. Sorry for the delay. A lot of preparation, but I don't have time. That's the problem. Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Hayavadana Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Sarvam Shri Krishna Upaniṣad. So what we're doing is we are conceptually understanding Śaṅkara Bhāṣya. In the last class, we went through a quick review of Śaṅkara Bhāṣya for the Khaṇḍa 1 or the first section. What was your feedback on that? Did you understand? Was it valuable? Was it a good recap? Everybody is quiet. Okay.
I'm quiet, but I'm not having homework.
Do you remember what happened in the last class? Do you remember what we said? No?
I somehow missed the last class. I think timing got messed up.
Okay. You can get back to the recording when you want. See, the last class is important. Okay. Last class, I reviewed the entire first Khaṇḍa according to Śaṅkara Bhāṣya. I conceptually basically summarize what exactly is the first Khaṇḍa according to Śaṅkarācārya. That's what I did. Please review it. And it is of a lot of value.
I cannot see without all. Yeah, I recollect whatever you're trying to say. I remember everything.
Okay, very good. So now let me share the presentation and we'll go further. So what we're going to do in this class is to continue to review the couple of shlokas, the couple of verses in the beginning of the second Khaṇḍa or the second section. So we have done already in the last class summary of the first section. Now we will summarize the first couple of shlokas in the second section. You might ask why. The reason is we did do these two shlokas earlier. In the last few classes, maybe 2 or 3 classes before this class, we have finished the first 2 verses. But I want everybody to understand the trend of the Śaṅkara Bhāṣya very carefully. So what even at the beginning of the second Khaṇḍa, Śaṅkarācārya summarizes and tries to justify why the teacher starts telling the student, Idimanyase suvedeti. If you think that you know Brahman well, you really don't know well. So this is the point the teacher wants to make, to discourage the student to be overconfident. That means don't be overconfident. You still may not know what Brahman is. It is still to be thought about. So initially in the first section, Śaṅkarācārya derived from the Kena Upaniṣad that Brahman is beyond what is to be shunned and what is to be acquired. Brahman is beyond what is to be given up or what is to be acquired. Heya Upādheya, and it is beyond Heya Upādheya. Heya means to be shunned, Upādheya means to be acquired. Hence, a student should not make a mistake that he knows Brahman well. So this is the point the Acharya, the teacher, in the second section of Kena Upaniṣad wants to make. But Śaṅkarācārya himself questions, look, self is Brahman, I am Brahman. This is what is the essence of all Upanishads. And if the student understands that, oh, I am Brahman, what is wrong with it? He is verily Brahman. Don't you think that his conviction should be right, and you rather discourage, instead of discouraging the student, you should support the student. You should say, okay, you already know, that's very good. Don't you think the teacher should have said that? For that, the answer is no. It is possible to know only objects which are different from us. Brahman is never an object. Brahman is always a subject, hence not be known. Like how fire cannot burn itself, but fire can burn everything else, but it cannot burn itself. Similarly, there is no knower other than Brahman. Brahman is the only knower. And if you know anything, that is not Brahman, because Brahman is not an object. Hence, it is wrong for any individual to say, I know Brahman very well. So to discourage the student, to make him that he will wrongly think that he knows Brahman well, the next statements of this Upanishads are presented to the student. Let's see how it goes. We have already finished this. I am just summarizing it. Yadi manyase suvedeti dabhramevapi nunam tvam brahma vethatta tvam brahmano rupam yadasya tvam yadasya deveshu athanu mimamsyam evate manye viditam. That is the first verse of the second section. If you know Brahman well, you know very little. Whatever the form of Brahman associated with yourself, the form of Brahman associated with divinity or devatas, that is very little. Hence, you need to think about Brahman again carefully. That is the idea of the first verse. We'll get summarized the Śaṅkara Bhāṣya here. How does Śaṅkarācārya understand this section? That's what we'll do. If you think you know Brahman well, you know very little of Brahman. This is a question mark here. Very little of Brahman, or you know little Brahman. You know only little Brahman. So that is the true meaning he wants to impart. But I've just superficially made it as you know very little of Brahman. That's not exactly what Śaṅkarācārya means. I will clarify this when we go further. Whether your knowledge is known with reference to an individual self, that is yourself, or with reference to the devatas, you know very little of a little form of Brahman. You have to think about Brahman more. That's his idea. So the self is again an Upādhi. Upādhi is adjunct. And devatas are also Upādhis or adjuncts. So all of us know something about us as related to our body, mind, intellect. And we know ourselves in relation to some devatas, like how some divinity is making our eyes work, some divinity is making our nose smell, our touch, a sense of touch. All our senses are driven by some powerful divinity. And that still does not mean that we know Brahman associated with everything. Then after some thought, the student says, now I think I understand. But we need more details here. That's why I have tried to summarize Śaṅkara Bhāṣya for the first two verses. So the meaning of edimanyase suvedeti, that means if you think you know well of Brahman, if you think you know Brahman well, is explained using the story of Virocana. We already talked about it. Virocana is Asura, demon, in like simple English. And both Indra, who is Devata, the leader of the Devatas, the king of Devatas, Indra and Virocana, though they hate each other, somehow ended up in the same class in front of Prajapati, the creator. And asked, we are here to know about Brahman. And Prajapati says, the person you see in your eyes is Brahman. Go look at your, dress up properly, dress up well, like how you do usually, with all your, crowns and, jewelry and all those things. And go see yourself in a mirror or on a lake or something like that, your reflection. Whatever you see is Brahman. Oh, they did the same and they went. Both of us came back and said, my body is Brahman. Okay. They were happy. Both of them were happy. They left. Virocana was very happy. So I have to make sure that my body is well fed. I should satisfy all the desires of this body. So the asuric or the demonic qualities, he said that, achieving Brahman is through satisfying the desires. That's all. So he went that way. But Indra could not understand it properly. He says that doesn't seem to be good. What if the body dies? Does Brahman die? He was not very happy with that concept. He went back and asked Prajapati once more. Prajapati says, oh, look at even though your body and all, they may have problems. What about yourself, which is the dreamer? While dreaming, the dreamer doesn't get, even anything happens to the body, the dreamer is still there. So the dreamer may be dreaming, oh, somebody chased me, somebody beat me up, somebody took a gun and shot me and I died. You may think that in a dream, you may think that you died. But really nothing happened to the dreamer. The dreamer is enjoying the dream or experiencing a really bad dream. So why not dream? The dreamer, he is Brahman. Indra was not very happy with that. He went back and asked Brahman, that is Shatrumukha Brahma, that is Prajapati. Prajapati usually never answers questions right away. Why don't you stay here for 32 years? Help me out. I need a lot of help here. Serve me. And later on, if I know, I will let you know. Something like that. And then Indra stays there. Then Prajapati tells him, look, actually, the person in deep sleep is not affected by anything. A dreamer can feel a little bit of, bad dreams, good dreams, and all. He has experiences which may be, awkward experiences or, sorrowful experiences. But really, the deep sleep, the person in the deep sleep is actually Brahman. He doesn't experience any issues like this. He has to be Brahman. So Indra leaves and says, is that true? And he was not happy. That's why he came 4 times. The 4th time, Prajapati gave him a lot more information, but every time he made sure Indra serves him for a few years. I think the last time he comes, he asks him to serve for 5 years. So first 3 times it is 32 years, something like that. So this is in the Chāndogya Upaniṣad section 8. I am summarizing hundreds of statements in the Chāndogya Upaniṣad, the way it was explained. Obviously, in the Kena Upaniṣad, Śaṅkarācārya does not explain anything much. He says that, oh, it is possible to mistake Brahman. And a great person, Virocana is also a great guy. He's the head of the Asuras. And Indra is a great person. Even he, being the king of the Devatas, could not understand Brahman properly. He had to come 4 times. Then Indra understood. But Virocana messed it up even for the first time and didn't even bother to go back and check. So many people can mistake Brahman. Similarly, Tarkikas, Vaisheshikas, the logicians, and similar people, so many people misunderstand Brahman. So it is justified for the teacher to give a warning to the student not to get overconfident about his knowledge of Brahman. That is why he says, you know little Brahman. Not little of Brahman. Think about it. You know little Brahman. What does little Brahman mean? Then comes the question in Śaṅkara Bhāṣya. Are there Brahmans of different sizes? Small Brahman, medium-sized Brahman, large Brahman, not so large Brahman. All these kinds of different sizes. Vadam, he says, yes, there are different size Brahmans due to names and forms, Nama Rupa. In the Shastras, Brahmans are described as different forms. However, truly, Brahman has no form, nothing. Why? The Kathopanishad says, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyayam, Tatha Rasam, Nityam, Agandhavaccha Yat. That Brahman is that which doesn't make sound, no sound. It has no touch. You cannot feel Brahman using your skin. It has no form, so you cannot see Brahman. It is changeless though. Nityam, changeless, avyayam, tasteless. You cannot taste Brahman. Like how you taste food. Brahman is eternal, odorless. You can't even sense Brahman in any way. That is Brahman. So, because Brahman is, all the attributes of Brahman are one by one denied, refuted. There's no attribute of Brahman. But still you're talking about attributes. Why you're talking about attributes? Because the attributes belong to the Upādhis, or the Upādhis are the adjuncts, not Brahman's Upādhis. So sometimes when the Vedas talk about Brahman, they only talk about the adjunct. Let me explain to you again. I have explained this earlier. Upādhi means, remember the analogy of the Shakha Chandra. Shakha Chandra means the branch and the moon, or the moon behind the branch. So during the night, when the child asks, where is the moon? Then the elder person says, look at the tree, look at that particular branch, which is like big and it has only a few leaves left there. Right behind that branch is moon. So most of the explanations are explanations of the branch and not the attributes of the moon. So to know moon, you talk about attributes of something connected to moon. So the names and forms are attributes of something other than Brahman, but it is used in the Vedas because it is hard to understand Brahman. We are used to understand something tangible like an object, but we are not used to understand something which is not an object. So sometimes in the Vedas, some attributes are used. So, but these attributes do not belong to Brahman, truly. But still they are used to slowly make you understand what Brahman is. Okay. Then comes the question. The opponent asks, or the student asks, and not the student in the Kena Upaniṣad, but an opponent of the Śaṅkara Bhāṣya. Śaṅkara Bhāṣya is now talking And somebody may question Shankara Bhāṣya like this. Why don't we settle this matter? Why don't we say Brahman is consciousness, sentient entity. Chaitanya is sentient. So if you look at earth, there is no sentiency in earth. Earth is not sentient. Water is not sentient. Tejas or energy is not sentient. Prithvi, up, tejo, vayu, akasha. Wind or air is not sentient. Akasha, space is not sentient. So we clearly know that Brahman is sentient and all these other objects are not sentient. So just accept Brahman is sentient. So sentiency is the attribute of Brahman. Why not? And even the Upanishad says so. Vijnanam, Anandam, Brahma, it says. Vijnanam, it is knowledge. Knowledge. Anandam, it is bliss. So Brahman is Anandam, bliss and knowledge. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says. Vijnana Gana Eva. It is fully a mass of intelligence. Vijnana, consciousness. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Taittiriya Upanishad says, Brahman is truth, Brahman is knowledge, Brahman is infinite. So there are attributes of Brahman, and clearly the Vedas themselves talk about these attributes. And Prajnanam Brahma means Brahman is just consciousness, full of consciousness. Iti Brahmano Rupam Nirdishtam Shrutishu. When the Vedas talk about attributes of a form of Brahman. So why don't we just accept this? So this is the opponent's view. Śaṅkarācārya says, Satyamevam, yes, it is true. We agree, all this, whatever you're saying is true, but there is a difference. Tathapi tadantahkarana dehendriya upadhidvarena vijnanadi. One second, okay. Tathapi, even though the sentiency, bliss, sentiency is Chaitanya, Sat-Cit-Ānanda, right? Sat-Cit-Ānanda. Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness, Ananda is bliss. All these kind of attributes are used, but they are actually Upadhi dharmas, the attributes of the adjuncts, not the attributes of the Brahman. Brahman is attributeless. But still, because Brahman is associated with this body, mind, intellect, and this external world and all those things, these words are used to denote Brahman. And in a way, you see somebody is born, suddenly the little child is conscious, playing around, crying and all. Then the child grows up to be a young person. And then you see the activities of a young person, so a youth or a middle-aged person, old-aged person, and after the old-aged person gets diseases or something, passes away. And then you see that the body is insentient, the body is matter. So consciousness or Brahman is associated with body, which goes through so many different transformations: birth, death, growth, diseases, old age, all those things. But you think that these are attributes of Brahman? No, they are not attributes of Brahman. Swatastu. That is why you have to understand. So avijñātam, even consciousness or Chaitanya cannot be ascribed to Brahman, really. But why does the Vedas say Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma? Is it confidently the Vedas say Brahman is bliss, Brahman is consciousness, Brahman is pure mass of consciousness. All these things. Then Śaṅkarācārya reminds us right in the Kena Upaniṣad, in the next verse, Avijñātam Vijanatam, Vijñātam Avijanatam. This is known to the person who says he doesn't know. This is not known to the person who claims that he knows. Look at the enigmatic view of Brahman. The truth of Brahman is very difficult to understand. So this is what Śaṅkarācārya is explaining so far. Okay. And then the student listening to this in the Kena Upaniṣad, the teacher is teaching and the student is listening to all these things. I do not at all think that I know well. Then he just thinks back and says, no, I really don't know Brahman well. Not that I do not know at all, but I know too. And he amongst us who knows it, that is, who knows that not that I do not know, but I know too, he knows it. What he's trying to say is, the student now is thinking, he's putting a lot of his powers together. What is the power? Power of reasoning, power of intuition, power of conviction, power of experience. All these things together, the student thinks about, yes, there is some Brahman, there is something. I sort of feel it. I know a little, but not completely. Not that I don't know. So then he comes to this decision and he boldly says that among us who knows this, that Brahman is not well known, but known, but very like exactly the way he said, Nona Vedeti Vedacha. Not that I don't know, but I know too. If any of us knows that, this is what he knows, and he has understood Brahman so far well. So this is how the introduction starts. Dvitiyah Khanḍah Naham Manyetu Suvedeti Nona Vedeti Vedacha Yonas Tadveda Nona Vedeti Vedacha. This is the second verse, and this is what I have explained till now. I do not at all think I know well, nor that I do not know, but know too. And he among us knows it. Who knows this? Not that I do not know, but I know too. So this is what we talked about so far. So far, what I have done is, I have summarized the introduction to the second section till the second verse of the second section. Here onwards, we have to go into the depth of Śaṅkara Bhāṣya line by line. That is the next portion. To make it understandable, we cannot explain this in this class because the complication increases. And moreover, if you look at these next few verses, Yasyamatam tasyamatam matam yasya naveda saha avijñātam vijānatam vijñātam avijānatam. Let us go only towards the summary of the next verses because that's important. We'll just summarize only the meanings of the next verses. We'll take Śaṅkara Bhāṣya later on because Śaṅkara Bhāṣya involves a lot of complexity with references to Vedas and all. So we'll come back to that. I'll only give you just a simple translation of this next few verses. We finished verse number 2. Now we'll go to verse number 3. The summary is Yasyamatam tasyamatam matam yasya naveda saha avijñātam vijānatam vijñātam avijānatam. The meaning is, to whomsoever it is not known, to him it is known. To whomsoever it is known, he does not know. Unknown to the knowers and known only to those that do not know. This is Brahman. It is very enigmatic, and this is what is the direct translation of verse 3. And there is a lot of description, but we will go to the descriptions in the next class. But the next shloka says, did we finish the third? Yeah, third is done. This is a hard verse. Pratibodha viditam matam amrutatvam hi vindate. Atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate amrutam. Okay. When Brahman is known through every state of consciousness, it is then is rightly known. For by such knowledge, one attains immortality. Through one's own self, do real power come, and through the self-knowledge comes immortality. This verse is very difficult to understand. Pratibodha, because the words Pratibodha viditam matam amrutatvam hi vindate. Pratibodha viditam matam. That means the true knowledge is obtained by Pratibodha. What is this Pratibodha? Continuous knowledge? What exactly is a continuous knowledge? Amrutatvam hi vindate. That means the right view is to know through every state of consciousness, and by that knowledge one attains immortality. Amrutatvam hi vindate. He attains immortality by knowing through every state of knowledge. Atmana vindate viryam. That means through one's own self, one gets power, the real power. What does it mean? Through one's own self, he gets real power, and through self-knowledge comes immortality. Vidyaya vindate amrutam. Through vidya, one gets immortality. That is just a superficial meaning here. This is a hard section. The second section, if you think the first section was hard, this section is harder. The next verse is, I'm not going through the details because we have to carefully analyze the details, and that we need 1 more hour or more hours to understand that. And we are not even dealing with other views. We are only dealing with Śaṅkarācārya's view here. If you look at other views, other Acharya's views, it's much more complicated. But we should first understand Śaṅkarācārya's view. So that is where the explanation here is very large, right? There's a huge explanation here. The Pratibodha Viditam verse is, the fourth verse is very difficult. A lot of explanations are there. Then the fifth verse, ihate ched avedi tatha satyam asti, na ched iha avedit mahati vinashtihi, bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha pretya asma lokad amrta bhavanti. This is 5 verses here. What does it? The fifth verse says, if one should know here, then there is use. There is value if one knows it right here. If one should not know here, that means while living, if a person cannot know Brahman, great is the loss. That is, it is a disastrous loss for this person. Hence, seeking reality in all beings, knowing the reality behind every being, the wise people become immortal after death. So right here in this universe, while living, the wise ones understand Brahman and get immortality after death. But the other people are ignorant, they are born again because they never will know Brahman. This verse also is very important, and there is quite a lot of explanations for this verse, and that ends the fifth shloka of the second chapter. But I'm just giving you overview of verses 3, 4, 5, and the details of 3, 4, 5 will be explained in the next class. Hope we have covered something of some value. I don't know if this class was any useful for you. Any comment, questions?
I have one question.
Okay.
When you say attributes are Upādhis, or Upādhis are attributes,
No, attributes belong to the Upādhis, not to Brahman. That is what they're saying, right?
That's okay. I mean, yeah, attributes belong to Upādhis, but attributes are Upādhis, don't they? Because if you say attributes belong to Upādhis, then Are there attributes to attributes? Then attributes to attributes, and then there is an issue of anavastha, That's an infinite regression, really, that.
See, it is true. This is where there is a lot of discussion about Saguṇa Nirguṇa, that is attributeless and with attributes. There are a lot of discussions about it. And even Upādhis, the very fact that there is an Upādhi, that becomes an attribute, is the question raised by the opponents of Śaṅkarācārya, right? So this is a much larger conversation. And we will do it only by understanding Śaṅkara Bhāṣya first. So we are going step by step, baby steps. You have to tell me if we are doing this too slow. Should we speed up? You have to tell me. But we are only doing Śaṅkara Bhāṣya now, clearly understanding the words of Śaṅkarācārya. That's all. And
no, this is fine. Yeah,
point it out will come only after reading the other Bhāṣyas. First, not only that, to understand Śaṅkara Bhāṣya properly, as what does he mean as attribute? Why he still says that Brahman is attributeless. So this is, we will first understand Śaṅkara Bhāṣya and then come to it later.
Okay.
When it's understandable but quite intriguing, when somebody says, I don't know Brahman, he knows Brahman. A person who says, I know Brahman, he doesn't know Brahman. Does it mean that a person who doesn't, he himself, he cannot, that means nobody can know Brahman. Does it mean that?
Yes, nobody can know Brahman. And if somebody is firmly convinced that nobody can know Brahman, he seems to know Brahman, or he seems to understand. See, these Upanishads are using questionable like oxymorons, which are apparently self-contradictory, right? But really speaking, it's not. That is where the Upanishads themselves solve it. Pratibodha viditam amritatvam himindate. In the very next verse says that, yes, it is possible to get immortality. Pratibodha viditam matam. Through the process of Pratibodha, you get the right view of Brahman, and such a person will get immortality. So even though the Upanishads gives you some statements which are superficially contradictory, Upanishad is not pessimistic. It gives, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Upanishad says that Brahman immortality can be achieved, can be known in a way, in a different way, not the way we think, not the way we know the external universe, but in a totally different way. Anubhava. That is why Śaṅkarācārya says Anubhava is required. What level of Anubhava, what level of experience is required? Very great level of experience. And that is the purpose of the Upanishads, to push you into a methodology. Then again comes that Brahman cannot be attained through any methodology. So how can we attain Brahman? All these questions come up. Śaṅkarācārya says denying all else is the process. You have to deny, you have to completely know for sure that Brahman is not what you seem to know. Deny everything you know. Then you reach finally to Brahman. That is Neti Neti is the only marga according to Śaṅkarācārya. So the thing is, we will clarify this Pratibodha Viditam in the next class, because that is the light at the end of the tunnel. That is the methodology by which you really know Brahman. And the word is very succinct. Pratibodha. Bodha means knowledge. Pratibodha means what? Is it reflection of knowledge? What does reflection of knowledge mean? This is very difficult to understand. At this point, let us leave it as a question mark for now.
I want to express my understanding, Krishna.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
That is, everything is Brahman. What I feel is, everything is Brahman. Everything, including everything, means everything. So we are an iota of it. So however we say, I know, we cannot fully understand Brahman, because there is so much that is left over. In our lifespan or whatever it is, we are an iota in the creation. So understanding fully of Brahman, what it is really impossible. Even for a knower, 100% knower also, understandability of Brahman is not at all possible. So the realizing I do not know sincerely is the expression, I think, apt.
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it. That's a good way to understand at this point. Yes.
Because you cannot comprehend it at all, because it's everything. Whatever it is not there, it's also, whatever you think that it's not there, that's also Brahman. So it's a whole lot. We are just dot.
See, the thing is, you're thinking in a different way. You're free to think like that. But Śaṅkarācārya, what he says, whether it is small or big or everything, Brahman is so huge and all those things, he's not saying that. He's saying that whatever you are understanding Brahman is through the Upādhis. The Upādhis, you're referring to your own body, mind, intellect.
Yes,
Or
that's
you're
true.
referring to the external universe, which is endless. Even today, the universe is expanding and nobody knows the size of the universe. They just say so many
That's what I meant.
90 billion light years or something like that, they say. But really speaking, they don't know what is beyond the 90 billion, 90,000 billion, whatever it is, right?
What you are not is so much, and what you are is very, very little.
No, hold on. See, whenever people think of the external objects, they are all Upādhis.
Yes.
So what is if as long as you are thinking about the Upādhis,
it's
and
not
Brahman
a complete
associated
knowledge.
with the Upādhis, they're all very little. That means you know
Yes.
little Brahman.
Yes, it's
You
not
don't
a
know the real
complete
Brahman,
knowledge.
but the little Brahman.
Not a complete knowledge. Yes, that is what the truth.
So what is associated with the Upādhis, which is body, mind, intellect, and the external universe of objects, that is not Brahman but little Brahman.
Yes, that's true.
So Brahman is unknown in a way. Most of Brahman is unknown in a way.
Yes.
Okay. That's what he's mentioning. That's all.
Swami, one question.
Okay.
So, Swami, can you please, what is Pratibodha, that word? Bodha is knowing, right? What is Pratibodha mean? Simply saying that we have to cover in detail.
Yeah, let us cover this in next class, because if I start talking about Pratibodha, the Sanskrit of it takes a while actually. Because see, it's very interesting. In fact, that is the beauty about Kena Upaniṣad is it is never mentioned in the Vishya-Vakya of the Brahma Sutras. So the entire in the Brahma Sutra, nobody refers to Kena Upaniṣad.
Maybe that reflective knowledge of what we know is Pratibodha.
See, this is where the problem is. We will go through it. What does the reflection mean? Is it like a reflection of I'm seeing myself in a mirror? What does reflection mean?
See, reflection means about our thought, not seeing in the mirror.
Swami,
about our thought.
What is the
our knowledge? Our knowledge.
Swami, what is the direct translation of that word? If you were to simply just translate that word, is it reflection? Exactly.
Prati is counter, right? See, pratyuttara. Suppose somebody answers something, and the other person answers back. Pratyuttara. It is against something, he is saying something, right? Pratikula. Pratikula means anukula and pratikula are opposites. Anukula is something which is supporting, collaborative, something which is helping, something which is happy, something which is giving us happiness is anukula. Something which is convenient is anukula. Pratikula means something which is against us. It gives unhappiness to us. It is against us. That is pratikula. So prati is used in the sense of oppositeness. Opposite to. Bodha is knowledge.
Improvement of your own thought. That may be the translation for Pratibodha.
Improvement cannot be the thought there. How can prati is improvement? Look at this. Prati, bimba. Bimba means the object, right? Pratibimba is a reflection of the object, right? That is acceptable. So bodha is knowledge. Pratibodha is to be reflection of knowledge. That is okay. Not improvement. Improvement is not accepted. If you want improvement, then the word prati should be used as an improvement. Then you have to show me where in Sanskrit prati is used as an improvement. See, it could be. I'm not saying you're wrong. Somewhere it could be. But I don't know that knowledge. See, that is why here the word pratibodha, in fact, what you are thinking is you are thinking in the right way, because the very word pratibodha is questionable. So Śaṅkarācārya understands pratibodha in a totally different way. Sanskrit.
It is questionable. Every time it is renewable. It should be, it is questionable.
Somebody will have a different view of pratibodha. For example,
Maybe.
see, you think about it, body, mind, intellect are not Brahman, right? Everybody
Yes.
understand? Body, mind, intellect are not Brahman.
Not at all Brahman.
They are faculties, but not Brahman. But what if I say Brahman is consciousness, and whatever is reflected onto our body, mind, intellect, that is the concept of Brahman, what we understand, right?
Yes.
That's the concept. Brahman is not understandable otherwise, because how can we understand? We only know the reflection, what falls in our mind, intelligence, and our body.
Yes.
So that could be taken as pratibodha. But that is not the way which Śaṅkarācārya takes. That is where we need to understand what does Śaṅkarācārya understand by the way of pratibodha. This is where the Sanskrit language gives an open-ended opportunity for many knowers of Sanskrit to understand the word pratibodha differently. Okay, so why don't we do one thing? Do some homework regarding pratibodha. The word, at least you can go to the dictionary, kosha or something, and find out what is pratibodha. Type in what is pratibodha. You'll figure out what the answer is there.
Prati is also used in the sense of every, right?
Oh, pratidinam. Pratidinam means every day.
Pratibodha is every
cognition.
Yes, every cognition. All the cognition.
That could be Śaṅkarācārya's view of understanding it. So the word pratibodha is
which would make a lot of sense because the subject only knows. Since it is not an object of knowledge, the one that is always knowing what you just said.
This small discussion itself is telling me one thing, right? The language is insufficient to determine Brahman.
That is true, 100%.
Because whether it is Sanskrit, somebody says Sanskrit is Deva Bhāṣya, divine knowledge, divine language, but it's still a language. And language cannot express truth.
Similar like Pratyagatma. There's Atma Pratyagatma that way.
See, that Pratyak is slightly different from Prati.
Okay.
Parak and Pratyak are two words used in Sanskrit. Parak is external, Pratyak means internal.
Okay.
So they are slightly different from Prati.
Okay.
Prati sometimes shows opposite also, meaning.
But you don't think you may be right. Prati anchati, Parak Prati anchati. It goes. Pratyak is going inside.
Okay.
Parak means going outside. So in that sense, Prati means, see, Prati is also towards direction. The word Prati is used for direction, right? That is.
Yes, that's also true.
Gramam pratigacchati. He goes near towards the grama.
Village.
Okay.
What does pratibha mean? It is a good word, no? It's not opposite. Pratibha.
Pratibha is different. Bha is knowledge. Bha is brilliance, radiance, brilliance. Pratibha is slightly different. See, in fact, Pratibha is an important word also. Why they have used the word Pratibha? Pratibha is different from what exactly is Pratibha. So these are the Shraddha, Medha Sukta. These different Vedas use these terms in different ways. Okay. So now we are coming to a complex region of language understanding used, from words. It's definitely complex. For example, Śaṅkarācārya says, if you attain the word aushada, 1,000 times, like, repeat the word medicine, 1,000 times, do you get
Disease
cured of
doesn't get.
disease?
No.
No. So the word doesn't have the real object. So in the Yoga Sutras, it says, Śaṅkaraha, Shabdhartha Pratyayoho Itaretara Adhyasat Śaṅkaraha. It says, Yoga Sutra says, Shabda Artha Pratyaya. Shabda means the words. Artha means the object. Pratyaya is the experience of the object. Right? You got Shabda means sugar is a word. Sugar is a word. And what does it denote? It denotes the object sugar, which are crystals of sugars, right? Sugars, crystals. And pratyaya means experience. If you put sugar into your mouth, you taste sugar and, oh, I have this experience of sweetness. So these three are different. But many times in language, we just use the word sugar to refer to the experience, to refer to the object sugar, or to refer to the word sugar. So the thing is, we use it interchangeably because we don't know, there's no other way for us to communicate. Because the object is different, the experience of the object is different, and the word is different. They are different from each other. Similarly, when I say Brahman, Brahman is a word. Brahman denotes that Brahman. But that's just a word. The experience of Brahman is even different. That is realization of Brahman. We are mixing up all these things because we are just studying textbooks. Even Vedas cannot give you full understanding. They can directly lead you to a particular direction. You have to actually experience through some method of experience. What are we talking about? That is what the Kena Upaniṣad is trying to say. If Kena Upaniṣad says that, oh, language is insufficient to understand Brahman, then what's the point? Don't speak, man. Don't tell me after telling me thousands of verses that we are incapable to understand Brahman. So what's the point? Why am I listening to you? If you help me out, then there's a point. If the guru or the teacher himself can't do it, and the Vedas are just words, what's the point? So all this will be answered in the next class. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Hayavadana Parabrahmane Namaha, Bhagavan Shri Krishna.
Namaskarams.
Thanks. Namaskaram.
Thank you.
Hope this is of some use. All these discussions are of some use.
Yeah, it's great news.
Definitely.